The history of extended housing is best explained by first appreciating the need for our services. The so-called emptying of mental health hospitals in the 70s was the result of public policy changes. Nationwide, states were feeling the impact of the high cost of running institutions. Unfortunately, this happened with no solid plan to address how people were going to live in their communities. This is just one of the reasons there is such a demand for the work that extended housing does and organizations like ours. While much of the nation was in turmoil, here in Lake County, this housing crisis began to be addressed through Self Incorporated, with the opening of a mental health group home in 1977, pictured here, which is now known as our North Coast House, a transitional 24/7 residential care facility. Judy Lieber was employed by Self as their bookkeeper. Judy Lieber always held the strong belief that everyone deserves safe, decent, and affordable housing, and that is why she started working in housing and continued to work passionately until her death. Extended housing was incorporated in 1983 under Self to develop, own, and manage housing for people with serious mental illness. In 1987, our first tenants began living at McNaughton Place Apartments, our first housing development. Eventually, Self disbanded and North Coast House went to another organization under the Lake County Adams Board. Extended housing was able to continue on. So extended housing began with McNaughton Place Apartments, with Judy Lieber now at the helm as executive director, property manager, and accountant. During our formative years, Judy acquired more properties and added an additional staff person to act as tenant liaison with funding from HUD and the Lake County Adams Board. By 1996, with the assistance of the Lake County Commissioners and the Ohio Department of Development, Extended Housing owned 6 buildings and had a full-time secretary, a full-time maintenance worker, and an accountant. By the time Judy retired in June of 2003, Extended Housing owned 16 properties, had a total of 11 staff, 2 rental subsidy programs, and the PATH Homeless Outreach Program with a total operating budget of $1 million. Today we own and operate 18 properties with a staff of 27, serving over 700 people a year with a $3.4 million operating budget. All used to further our mission, which is to prevent and end homelessness for individuals in Lake County with serious mental illness. Over the next few minutes, you'll learn how extended housing is more than just housing. It's about a home, a hand, and a fresh start.
Extended Housing owns 19 properties, 1 office building, 2 group homes, 1 residential care facility, and 15 rental properties. We have a total of 75 units that are scattered throughout the county. We have properties in cities such as Willowick, Painesville, Willoughby, Madison, Perry, Wickliffe, and Mentor.
One of the toughest situations I've ever dealt with at Extended Housing assisting clients is one time I had a client who had bed bugs. They were asked to leave their unit and I had another unit for them, but they couldn't move in knowing that they had bed bugs. They needed something called a bed bug prevention plan. So we created the plan, and the plan consisted of this client transporting his stuff on transportation through the bus line and washing his clothes and then taking all his clean stuff to the unit. Well, unfortunately, it wasn't just that simple. Sometimes our clients don't know how to ride the bus, don't know where the stops are. So I would meet with this client at the bus stop, make sure he got on the bus, follow the bus to his unit, make sure he got off at the right location. The client would bag his stuff, and then I would send him to the next bus stop. I would wait there until that bus picked him up, Then we went to the third bus stop where he got dropped off at, and we walked from that bus stop to McKinley Grove where he was to wash his clothes. We washed his clothes there together, and then we walked from McKinley Grove to where his new unit was. And that was one of the most interesting experiences as a housing support worker.
Throughout my many years at Extended Housing, the story that has stuck with me the most would be many years ago. We held a homeless outreach picnic for those who are homeless in our community. And we were having a wonderful time, and in a distance there was a gentleman that was leaning up against a tree. Wouldn't come over to eat and stayed to himself. However, his appearance was what caught our attention. He was dressed in winter clothes, and the cookout was held in June. So I approached the gentleman and asked him if he wanted to join, which he declined, however did take food from us. We scheduled an appointment to meet the next morning. I never thought in a million years he would be there, but he was. After many weeks of building rapport and linkage, we started working with him towards housing. The one morning I picked him up for an appointment, and he was having a difficult time walking. I ended up taking him to the emergency room where they diagnosed him with trench foot. He needed to take care of his feet, and they gave us a bedpan and some solution and encouraged him to continue to wash his feet daily. Every morning I picked him up and took him back to the emergency room so that they could provide him with the proper care. He was one of the first recipients into our Shelter Plus Care program. Shortly after he went into his home, he passed away. It of course devastated me until I really thought about it and realized he didn't pass away on the streets. He passed away in his home. And to me, that was such a success.
Extended Housing purchased the Hillside Professional Building located at 270 East Main Street in downtown Painesville. After 30 years, it is satisfying to know that at last Extended Housing had a home of its own, along with other nonprofits in Lake County. Renamed the Extended Housing Wellness Center, other businesses and nonprofits were invited to become tenants of the building, helping to provide another centralized location for assistance for community members. Current tenants include Lake County Council on Aging, who provide the Meals on Wheels program, St. Francis Physical Therapy, Frontline Services, and Bridges Mental Health Consumer Empowerment. We look forward to filling the building with other nonprofits as well.
McKinley Grove was built in 2013. It has 17 units in it, and its funding sources came from the Catholic Diocese of Cleveland, the City of Painesville, the Lake County Adams Board, the Lake Geauga Fund of the Cleveland Foundation, the Board of Lake County Commissioners, the Corporation for Supportive Housing, the Federal Home Loan Bank of Cincinnati, the Ohio Department of Mental Health, the Ohio Housing Finance Agency, the Lake National Bank, the Lubrizol Foundation, the McKinley Grove Project Committee, the Ohio Development Services Agency, the United Way of Lake County, and Western Reserve Junior Service League. McKinley Grove was our first project built with the intention to provide permanent supportive housing. Supportive housing can be any type of affordable, permanent, and independent housing that meets the needs of tenants and is integrated within a neighborhood or a community. Services available in supportive housing are flexible, voluntary, and tenant-centered. Supportive housing is designed to serve those who would not be able to stay housed without a wide range of supportive services. Individuals living in supportive housing may have a long history of homelessness or stays in institutions and often face one or more persistent obstacles to maintaining housing, such as a serious mental illness. Though services help tenants maintain stability, being housed is an essential first step in addressing these conditions that often have gone untreated for many years.
The history of extended housing isn't simply a reflection of dates and numbers, a list of properties, or a resuscitation of facts. It's the story of the thousands of lives that have been changed over the past 37 years. People that now have homes and have been connected with resources to help them live healthy, safe lives. It's also the story of the community partners that have come alongside us and shared our mission, as well as the foundations that have been laid to help more of Lake County's homeless with severe mental illness for years to come. We thank you for being part.